and it's got one of those touch bars, and for some reason it doesn't. Here we go. Okay, now that should be recording. All right, we're good. Sorry, last time I did it wrong, so I apologize that for some reason it just did not record last time. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what I want. Let's talk about the agenda for today, because I've got a bunch of stuff I want to go over with you guys. So the first is I want to talk about these email automations. And I want to make sure you guys are all set, because it sounds like there's a couple issues going on. One is products not showing up in the drop down.
Kind of like has like the after fade out one was weird because that one's in A in the alphabet, but it seemed to like just maybe have a limit of the number of things it would display because it stopped during the things that were like Saturday, blah, blah, blah. So anything that's in the alphabet after Saturday is not showing up.
Do you guys have just so many products? How many products do you guys actually have?
I don't know.
Endless. Endless. How many do you want us to have? That's because that's how many we can have.
That's how many you can have, yeah.
Yeah.
Does some of that get solved when you guys go through and clean up all these different versions?
I mean, sometimes, like, you know, well, we've never had this particular issue before, obviously.
Right.
But
I mean, we're going to be reducing the count of these when you guys go out and clean out all the different versions of.
Not by that much, though, honestly.
Okay.
I cleared it out like a couple weeks ago with with the stuff that was really like back stuff. But
okay.
But there's some other stuff we can clear out of it too. But the other thing is there's some stuff that we don't want to clear out.
Yeah.
Because there are people that come back around again, and we want to still have that listing so that we don't have to remake it, you know? So there's something that I don't delete even though they're not relevant at the moment.
That's fine. The problem here is it's, you know, some of this is a tech thing. So it's like, if they're not showing up, and I'm going to get into your MailChimp right now, we might just have to reach out to MailChimp and just ask. Send it to MailChimp support.
Yeah, I can always chat with them. I chatted with them the other day.
Yeah, okay. Did they get back to you pretty quick?
Yeah, it was a chat. And they were like, you're an idiot. It's really easy to delete things. And then I was like, oh, it is. Whoops. Thank you.
I'm just going through and looking.
The delete button doesn't come up until you check the box next to the thing you want to delete. And then the delete button comes up at the top of the list, not anywhere near where you're.
Yeah, I know. It's actually, I would agree. Some of their usability is not the best. Okay, so webinar recording. So all of these that say webinar recording, that's this series we've been setting up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And a guy ordered like 5 webinars yesterday. Let me see if he wrote me back. Because I emailed him to be like, hey, did it all come to you easy? No, not this guy. I'm like, I haven't looked at my email yet. So I'm like looking for this guy. And this was a new person. So I don't think he wrote me back. But it looked like they all fired. Like I looked at the thing on, oh yeah, Kenlon. Yeah, he didn't write me back, but it looked like in MailChimp, it looked like one send the ones that he ordered had been sent to him.
Okay. These look fine, but you're right. It looks like after S in the alphabet, nothing shows up.
Yeah, and just after Saturday, he doesn't even have anything that's on Sunday.
Okay.
So there's a lot of products after that still. But
yeah,
I mean, like I'll figure out more as it is. But yeah, there were like I said, 27 more webinars after that aren't.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and send that to MailChimp support since you've already been chatting with them, and figure out why. Because I've honestly never seen that before. It makes no sense. The only reason they would not be showing up is if they're not products in Shopify, but if you've got them set up as products in Shopify, so they're there. So I think the next step here is just MailChimp support. So I think we just have to talk to them and just see why.
Cool.
Okay. So then next thing, talking about this flow, I went ahead and had one of our devs just go ahead and code up that confirmation email for you guys that matches the exact same confirmation email that you're sending through Spently, so that you don't have to use Spently just to do that. And what we can do with that code is we can go into the admin and we can actually just plop it into Shopify's admin for you, so that every confirmation email you send out that gets automatically fired from Shopify just looks exactly like the one you built in Spently. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I had another question about that, because
Sure.
I know when I was doing the automations that you can like have an email for a whole category. And so I don't know how you do categories, but if I can tag like everything in a certain collection as a certain category, then I'd rather have a different confirmation email for everything. It's just with Open Pitch, it's like if it had to be every single product, if we had to tag that every single time, like go in and make the automation thing for each individual, like that would just, it would never work. But if we can do it for the whole collection, anything that's in that collection or that is tagged with a certain thing, then I'd rather, because people are getting confused with the contest thing automation that we just did, because they get the first email that has the material submission link and they go there and it doesn't have anything for the contest. And the secondary email doesn't fire until 5, 10, 20 minutes later with the actual link that they need. And so people are getting confused about that. So I'd rather just have that first email be a receipt and that's it. And then everything gets a secondary email. But I only want to do that if we can, like, for an entire collection, be like, this is the email for the entire collection, and we don't have to go set it up every time we add a product to it and blah, blah, blah.
So,
because that would be for more than just Open Pitch, be for coverage, consultations, first 15s, proofreading. Like, it's more than just mentorships. It's more than just Open Pitch.
Yeah. So I'll sort of break down what the options are. So if you want the email to fire, if you want just a receipt to come out, no matter what the product is, right? And not have them do a submission with that confirmation, that's easy. Just change, like, again, remove Spently. Let's just change that confirmation email to just being a receipt. That's all it is. It's a receipt. And you could just notify them at the top of that saying, hey, look, this is a receipt of your purchase. You will receive another email in the next, 30 minutes, whatever it may be, with instructions for how to access, for how to submit, whatever it may be. So you could change that to just be a confirmation and then fire it for everything, right? That might be the easiest. And then everything gets a second email in MailChimp. The other way to do it would be to continue Spently, and then you could segment by categories of product. You could tag all your products by category. And then you could segment it in Spently, which is, I don't know Spently well enough yet, but I think that's what you could do in Spently. So if you're going for ease and you're going for trying to reduce all these different technologies that you're trying to implement in the same place, I would keep a standard confirmation receipt that comes from Shopify, just like you'd get for anything. Be like, hey, thanks for buying. And then I would have a secondary email that gets fired. Now, if that secondary email that gets fired needs to be something that's a submission, right? Then what you could do in MailChimp is say, there's however many of those emails require a submission, you could tag those by category, right? So you only have to set that automation up one time, and as opposed to setting the trigger for one product, you could set it for an entire collection of products. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually brings up, and it's funny that we're talking about this because, Ellen, I know in your video that's sort of at the end you mentioned talking about categories and whatnot. But the issue that we're bumping up against is, so for example, we just launched this writing competition, and if someone submits multiple entries, so they're buying that product multiple times, they're only getting the MailChimp. MailChimp is only firing that email one time, and it's, even though it's selected immediately, sometimes it's taking, like Dorian mentioned, quite a while to actually get that email out the door. But if someone buys this product multiple times, which in this instance is a very common thing, people may over the course of 3 months buy this product 3 times, they're still only getting that email the first time. So that's the current issue that we're finding ourselves trying to come up with a solution for. Have you heard of something
which
like that
is
before?
no. So that's why
I'll be right back, but continue on with this question.
So Ray, can you point me to the campaign that you set up for that so I can take a look at it?
Sure. Let me just pop into MailChimp real quick.
So the short answer is we should be able to fix that with
Cool.
the settings change. So I want to see what you guys have set up, and I might be able to fix it for you real quick. If not, we should just ask MailChimp, because there's no reason that somebody, and what it's doing is it's just segmenting it, saying they've already received this flow. So we just need to make sure that doesn't happen, that gets turned off.
Okay. What do we call this automation? Sort by. Okay, let's do this. Because now that Dorian made all these webinar recordings, I'd have to go down really far to find it. So let's see. Sort by creation date.
Is it the announcing the Jumpstart writing competition?
Yeah, but I want to make sure that that's, does that one come up as automated, or is that just a one-off that went out?
No, yeah, it's saying sent. So it doesn't.
Okay, that's not that one. Yeah, it's a different one.
Yeah, it's not a workflow.
Where is it? Where is it? And no, it's, well, I don't know why it's not popping up. Did we not call it that? This is why labeling is so important. Here, let's do this. Just a second. Okay, so this one is called, it's just called automated, which is a bad name. So let me actually, if you type in automated, you should see it shows a revenue of $3.99.
Yep. Okay, I got it. Yeah, it's another.
Opens. Yep. So this was created here, and now this is the one where we've had some people who have. So for example, we have one customer who she submitted 5 scripts to this competition, right? So 5 purchases. Now in this instance, here's the thing: is that form, that there is no unique ID to that form. So technically, she could reuse that same form 5 times. But for someone who may buy this today and then may not submit another script, who may not buy this again until next month or 2 months from now, we're putting a lot of, we can't, I don't want to assume that they're going to have still save that email and that's easy to pull up. That's kind of a pain in the ass. I want them to get another one of these when they buy.
Yep. Nope, totally understand. I'm just looking at your setup here. Contacts, match any of the following conditions. Purchases 2000. Very strange.
Change the name of this.
Just playing around for a second.
Sure. I just renamed it too. I just called it Jumpstart Script Submission. So it's easier to find.
Because even if we can't get it to do it multiple times, maybe it's just that we need to like purge the emails that it's already gone to once a week or something, so that it'll fire again the next time they do it.
It should. There's no reason why it shouldn't fire. So I'm trying to figure out why. I'm trying to figure out what's set up in here right now that's causing that to happen.
Oh, okay.
The other thing too is, you know, MailChimp's always constantly changing their Shopify integrations. So they also could have just updated to where this is just native now. But I'm trying to see if we can add another condition to this. So it gets fired as the product is purchased. Yeah, there's no reason it should fire.
I guess, is that another thing I should ask MailChimp support about when I'm?
Yeah, let's go. I mean, because I can play around with this, but there's no reason that it should not fire. So let's ask MailChimp because they'll give us an answer faster. And I don't want to mess with this since you're running it live. Let me. Yeah, so let's do that. So the two things to talk to MailChimp about: ask them, basically say, hey, look, guys, you're not listing product after S. And find out what setting you need to change to make sure this fires if somebody repeat purchases a product.
Cool.
I'll poke around a bit more too. I'll also ask our email guy too, to see if he knows. But what he'll respond and say is that's strange. Talk to MailChimp because it is strange. Okay. Okay, then. So let's go back to talking about the confirmation email so that I can make sure we get a solution here, so we can have you guys keep setting these up while we start working on moving over to Shopify.
Cool. So how do I do the category thing?
So that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about what you want to do first. Do we want to make that first? Do you want to go with a standard confirmation email that goes to everybody that doesn't have a submission button?
Yeah.
And it's just like a receipt?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because I always put a product type and stuff. I wish it could do it by product type.
For what?
Or which secondary email fires. Because like all open pitch sessions are product type open pitch session.
So you can for a second for the MailChimp email that fires secondly, you can do that as like a collection or category. Like you can lump those together.
Okay, how do I do that?
So when you go to set it up, when you go to the trigger, and actually I think I actually showed you in the email or in that recording I sent over.
Yeah, but it didn't have any categories in it. It like just said roadmap writers.
Oh, you guys just hadn't set them up?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, how do I do?
Yeah.
Like, how do I?
Yeah. So you do that. You do that in Shopify. Yep. I'm actually looking at one of your triggers right now. I want to make sure that you've got this set up right. Purchase is. You've got to go back and set it up differently. Well, just like, so let's actually go through. Let's actually just stop messing with one of your current ones and let's set up a new one here.
Yeah, man. Last night I was just sitting here for like 3 hours doing all those. I was like, it's one of those things where it's like a monkey can do it. Just got to repeat. But I think I did them right.
They look right to me.
Because I'm a genius.
So let's go. All right. Let's go with automated.
But man, I love that because that's just set it and forget it. Now, whenever somebody orders out of the library, I don't have to fucking do anything. Yay!
Yeah, man. That's the goal here. That is the goal.
Except if they ordered one that started with an S or later in the alphabet. Then I send it manually.
Hopefully those are the not popular ones for the moment.
So you guys don't have
popular. The T ones are the most popular.
All right, so let's go. So you're right. You guys, for some reason, there are no categories in your settings. So let's find out why. Let's go into Shopify.
Because I put a product type for everything. In fact, some of the collections are even based on what the product type is. So if we could do an automation based on the type, or I guess wherever I have to do it, if I have to do it in the tag or whatever it is.
Remind me, what's your Shopify store URL? Is it Roadmap Writers Hub?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Hub. All right. Log in here. Are there any dashes at all in that?
No. But I guess it's also roadmap writers myshopify.com is the other way that you log into it.
Roadmap Writers. I've got roadmap-writers.myshopify. This is letting me in.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
that too. Yeah, this is you guys. Okay. Product.
Jorge's slacking. He hasn't come into the office in 2 fucking days.
Joey today was his bread idea. Wait, wasn't I there yesterday? No, Monday.
But Monday you're here till like midnight, so.
It's true.
Collections. Okay. Now, so you guys have collections. This doesn't make sense. Let's see. Looks like it's mapping the vendor. So it looks like what it's doing is it's category
by vendor. That was what I assumed because that's the only thing I ever put in the vendor is just because we are the vendor of.
Yeah, no, it's which is fine.
Where I need to.
No, I'm just looking at. Let me pick one of these. Go to all products. Find one of your webinars here. I mean, you've got it set up as a collection that is Roadmap Writers webinar, and you've got MailChimp. There's no reason this shouldn't sync. Well, we might need to poke around. I might need to play around with this and see why, because there's no reason that should be coming up. And it doesn't just pull vendors. It should pull collections. And I have no idea why it's not pulling yours, because we've set these up before. Let me try something real quick. All right, let me play around with it, guys, because I don't want to eat up our whole call time kind of looking at this. Let me play around with it because it's only pulling your vendor, but you do have your collection set up correctly on the Shopify side. So there's no reason it should not be pulling it from into MailChimp. The only thing I can think of is, let me look at your apps. I want to make sure you've got this. Yeah, you got it installed. You're fine. This should be pulling your collection tags. Yeah, that's very strange. So let me poke around with it and let me play with it and see. Again, MailChimp is constantly updating this integration and changing things, trying to keep up with their competition for e-commerce. So sometimes they change stuff. So, Dorian, if you want to mention to him when you're talking to him, that's fine. But I'm also going to get our email guy to jump in and play around and see if he just sees something that I'm not seeing, since he does this every day. But we'll get you an answer on it.
Cool. Because then that actually, it would help a lot if we could just do it that way. Because I already label all the products with what they are, and then it could be an individualized one, like even open pitch would be separate from first 15. Like it'd be like, hey, so here's what you submit for your first 15, so that there's just no confusion. So that'd be ideal.
I think that's a better customer experience. And what we can do is, we've got your confirmation email. So what we should do is, actually, let me pull that up. Let's talk about that right now, because what I can do is I can have our dev who's working on it just cut out pieces.
Well, I don't want him to do it until we have the other automation set up.
No. Yeah, he's not doing it live. We're doing it like he's doing it on the side. We haven't touched anything that's live, because what's live is still Spently, right?
No, not really. It's just the we kept the code from the very first one that I made using Spently, because like I said, the only thing I was using it for was to customize the order confirmation. So we're technically, it's not even attached to the app anymore right now. We just kind of saved it and pasted it back in there after we tried out.
Okay.
But then we weren't sure if we canceled
Spently off then? Did you turn Spently off?
Because I didn't know if we canceled it fully, if it would affect that confirmation at all.
Got it. It shouldn't if you just copied it into your standard template and then turned it. Wait, so you copied the code from Spently and put it into your confirmation email? Did you turn your confirmation emails back on? Because you would have had to turn them off for Spently to work. Sounds like you didn't do any of that.
We just went into the order confirmation and copied the code after Spently put it in there.
Oh, so Spently's team went in and added the code in for you?
However it does it, the app does it. But then we just went in there into the Shopify thing and copied that code.
Yeah.
So that we had it in case we needed to switch back to it, which we did. So.
Okay.
So I'm glad Jorge kept that code, because it was not there anymore. Even the design that I had made even template wasn't in the Spently thing anymore at all.
All right, hold on a second. Let me share my screen. I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing here. So this guy right here, This is what you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. So for this new version, right, where we're going to cut out this submit your material,
Uh-huh.
do you just want this section right here, this whole thing just removed? And then up here, having some instructions like instructions are on the way kind of a thing?
Yeah,
Thanks for your
like your booking is confirmed, but further instructions will be on the way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what I'll do is I'll just have our dev cut this out so that way you guys have the code for this and you can have it, and then we can just edit the copy up here. And if you guys want to change the design too, we can. But basically, I just want to make sure you guys have something that's a standard confirmation email that we can send out that doesn't have to have you tied into Spoutly anymore.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Yep.
All right.
But we need that thing in there, the submit your material thing in there, until we figure out the automation for the categories.
So why don't we just do both? We'll just do both of them. We'll just give you code for both.
Yeah, and then we'll just keep that one in there until we figure out the category thing.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, let me take a note. Okay. Second email. All right. Okay, cool. That sounds good. So what I want to do now then is, okay, so we got a couple things we got to follow up on these automations, but are there any other questions on the automations that you guys want to go over before we start talking about the Shopify, move over to Shopify?
I'm gonna look at my notes. I don't think so. I think that was it for.
Yeah, I think that was, the rest we're just waiting on these responses from MailChimp, but I think up to now, I think that's good for sort of our immediate.
But I did have one other question because I was about to do the classes and stuff.
Yeah.
So you know how it needs to be like a link that they can click and download the PDF? Is there some sort of like hosting platform that you could suggest that we like? Where does the PDF? Where do we upload that? Should it live?
Yeah.
Like we can use Wix, but if we're getting rid of Wix, I don't want them to live on Wix.
Yep. Yeah. So lots of places, right? It's if you wanted to make it really simple, right? You could, take them to a Dropbox link.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And have them download it from Dropbox. That would be the most, simple way to do it. The other way to do it is you could set up a hosting account with like something like, Amazon Web Servers, AWS, and just have all of your stuff uploaded to an Amazon Web Server. Or you could also just do something like Google Drive, right? So you could have all these things up on Google Drive and just have people download them there or from Dropbox. That's probably the simplest way to do it. If you wanted something, but if you wanted it to actually be kind of hosted somewhere, then we could, you could set up an AWS account, Amazon Web Servers. It's actually free for the first year, really cheap, and you can just upload your PDFs there.
Yeah, I think Dropbox or Google Drive would be fine too. With Google Drive, if people don't have Google Drive, does that matter?
No.
If people aren't using Gmail?
Doesn't matter. Yep.
I know that with Microsoft, with like OneDrive and shit, like you have to have a fucking Microsoft account and all this bullshit. Like, which is why whenever people send me shit from OneDrive, I'm like, you need to just attach it to the email. I'm not going through all that bullshit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, if they want to if it's like a Google document or something like that, right? Like a Google Sheets, and they want to edit it, they got to have it. But if they're just if you're just linking out to a PDF to download, yeah, it's just a file. You're basically just storing a file, just like Dropbox, and they would just download the file, either or. And Google Drive for data, I mean, Google Drive is, even if you exceed the data limit when you upload all that information, it's still, I think it's like $5 a year to have like a terabyte or something. It's ridiculous. It's very cheap.
It's great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that is that. Okay, so this is what I want to do next. I've got a couple things I want to go with you guys. So the move over to Shopify is, thinking through the process is I want you guys to move over for ease of usability, but the goal here is let's take this opportunity to actually optimize the site and messaging so that you're more clearly communicating, giving people a better user experience, ideally increasing conversion rates as part of it. So part of this is kind of walking you guys through the technical aspects of how to do this so you can just do it. The other side of it is, while we're doing it, let's make some optimizations to make the site better so that ease of use is better. So as you guys start to scale, you guys don't start hitting this, this plateau where, oh man, we're driving paid ads and all this stuff, and the site just isn't converting because people are confused, right? So what I want to talk about a little bit is sort of introduce this idea of how we think through site purchase funnels. That way you guys kind of have this concept and the strategy for how we design e-commerce sites and why. And that way you've got the framework, and we can then start to apply it to you guys as we move over. And the way we should do it, and tell me if this works for you guys, is I've got a theme that I think you guys should use, and I'll walk you through it. I've also started to kind of mock up a very basic wireframe just to explain some structure for the homepage, how I think you should communicate the homepage. And that way you guys have a roadmap for how to set this up. And my suggestion is, let's talk about the theme and messaging. Yeah, what's up? What'd you say?
No, I was like, ding, roadmap.
There you go. Yeah, right? You get a point every time you say roadmap.
Yeah.
But anyway, give you guys a roadmap to say, hey, look, as we move over to Shopify, this is the homepage. Then here's what the collections are going to look like. This is what a product page is going to look like, cart, etc. So kind of each week going forward here, we can talk about another big chunk, and you guys in the next week can set up that chunk in the theme. And over the next few weeks, we've got the theme completely set up, and then you could flip the switch. That's a way I think is probably gonna be the easiest for you guys to execute, and for us to kind of talk about the optimizations at each step. And we can keep doing the automation pieces in the back end while we make the move over.
Cool.
All right. So let me share my screen here real quick.
Yay, I'm so excited.
Okay.
This is the part I was like, this is the part I'm excited about. The automation thing, it's like, yeah, that makes things easier, but I'm excited about this part.
I know, right? The automation's the stuff you got to do, but it's not it's not sexy. It's not marketing. This is like the fun stuff. So let's talk about, so some of this is going to be high level in terms of kind of breaking down how we think about this. And when we work with, multi 7-figure brands that kind of hit these plateaus with ad spend. And one of the big issues is always they'll hit $1 million in rev easily with ad spend, and then it like caps because they become unprofitable. You guys are a little bit different. You don't sell physical products. So you've got a little more of a buffer there. At some point though, you are going to hit this plateau. Everybody does. And it's where ad spend gets too expensive for your profit margin. And so when you look at the equation, right, so it's really two pieces. You've got sort of the ads, and then you've got the site. And people always say, well, look, we can't spend more on ads because we've exhausted our market, cost per click's too high, blah, 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 blah. When the reality is their site just isn't converting well enough for them to afford to spend more. So if you double your conversion rate, your cost per acquisition drops by half, right? So the whole goal here is to set you guys up and kind of get you guys in a position so that as you scale, you've got the site optimized so that you don't hit this plateau. Or if you do it, and most clients come to us when they hit the plateau, and we got to work quickly and get the site optimized to fix it. But the whole goal, that's why we're going to walk through this process. So,
yeah, we haven't hit any plateau yet because we don't do any paid ads.
But you guys will though. You will though, right?
No, I'm just saying we haven't yet.
You have to. You guys don't even do retargeting ads?
Just the mailers. We don't pay for anything though.
You don't do any paid retargeting? Oh man, this is gonna be fun. You guys have so much opportunity.
We made over $1 million last year, so you can shut up. We're doing fine.
Oh no, that's why it's gonna be fun, right? Because you guys are already killing it. So let's amp this up. All right. So let me break down. This is.
Alan, did anybody ever tell you that you could be Ryan Reynolds' stunt double?
Yeah. I was actually at a conference, one of these conferences I was in North Carolina a couple weeks ago, and somebody called me Deadpool the whole conference.
We were talking about that after last week. We were like, he could be like Ryan Reynolds' cousin or his stunt double.
I wish I had I was as in shape as Ryan Reynolds is. How about that? I've got the dad. I'm a dad bod version of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, so these are the 4 KPIs. And these are the 4 things that you guys should care about as you start looking to scale, right? There's only 4 things you can do to drive more revenue, right? So you guys did $1 million last year and say you want to double revenue this year, right? So you want to do 2 million. I don't know what your goal. Actually, what is your goal? What are you guys trying to do this year?
2 would be nice.
2 would be nice. Okay. It's called 2 the goal then. You want to double. There's only 4 things you can change to double revenue, right? You can double traffic. You can double your conversion rate. You can double the average order value, or you could double your repeat purchase rate, right? Not even double repeat purchase rate. You'd have to go more than that. But you have to double the first 3, and then you have to significantly increase your repeat purchase rate. Or you can increase all of them, right? And so we have a good graph on this. I don't have it in this slide deck, but I can show you guys later. And when you look at brands that kind of have this very linear growth, these are brands that typically are just increasing traffic as they scale, right? The brands that kind of have these hockey stick style growth are the ones that are optimizing on all 4 of these KPIs at the same time. So they're going in, they're increasing traffic by 50%. They're increasing their conversion rate by 25%. They're adding an extra 10 to 20% to their average order value. And they're doubling the repeat purchase rate, right? So they're moving the levers on all of these different fronts in order to see this, exponential growth curve that occurs. So the point of what we're going to do here is we're going to walk you guys through a process that attacks. So traffic, we don't do traffic. Lots of people do traffic. You guys are actually pretty good at driving traffic. Paid ads is a great opportunity for you. You're going to do that. What we're going to talk about is conversion rate, average order value, repeat purchase rate. And what can you set up on the site, and how do you optimize the site to improve these? And then also, once we're done working during our sort of time span, you guys will actually understand and know what levers on your site do this, so then you can continually optimize them as you continue to scale. One of the exercises I highly recommend you do is create a spreadsheet with these numbers in them. Like, look at your current Shopify numbers. And it's you guys are kind of in a position because you got the Wix site and you got Shopify, so they're a little muddled, but try to piece it together. We can do this together if you want. What's your traffic? What's your conversion rate? What's your average order value? And what's your repeat purchase rate? And what's your revenue? Maybe look at last year's numbers to set this up first. And then say, okay, we did 1 million. If you want to hit 2 million, how much do we have to pull each of these to hit 2 million? So say we only able to increase traffic 50%. If we increase traffic 50%, that increases revenue 50%. That puts us $1.5 million. But if we could also increase our conversion rate by 25%, right? And you can kind of play with these. Maybe we add 10% our average order value, see what the math takes to hit 2 million. And then all of a sudden you've got a game plan. And you go, okay, well, now we know that to do this, we actually only have to increase our conversion rate by 15%, average order value 10%, but we need to double our repeat purchase rate, because we know that people that buy this are in a good position to buy a second one. We just need to make sure we're putting in systems to hammer that home. So you know where to place your focus this year and where to really optimize. So it's one of the first exercises we work through with our clients that get stuck at this plateau is this, because then we know, okay, which piece do we want to go after first? So good exercise to walk through. For you guys, since we're moving over to Shopify, we're just going to be doing all of this. So we're going to focus on each piece one at a time, and we'll end up hitting all 3 by doing so. So what does that actually look like? And what does that mean? So this is what we call a purchase funnel. So when we do site designs, when we do anything that's related to sites, and we design sites from scratch, we do it through the context of what we call a purchase funnel. And all it is the pathway that a customer is going to take from first interaction with you all the way to completing a purchase, right? And then ultimately completing another purchase, or buying a couple, like a package or a bundle or an upsell, and then coming back and buying again. So we're going to do this with you guys as we set up Shopify. We're going to work through each one of these stages of this funnel and say, okay, attraction. This is your target market. This is your message that you're communicating to your target market. Does it connect? That's A. B, is it connecting? And then C, are you communicating it clearly enough on your home pages and your main landing pages so that people understand, they get this aha moment, they show up and they connect with your brand and they keep working through your site. That's going to be the first piece, and we're going to talk about that today. Then we talked about this way back when we started, a few weeks ago, about this acquisition and nurture and setting pop-ups and doing email campaigns and nurture campaigns after that. We're going to start from scratch on that, because like you said, everybody kind of got, all over the place the first couple of weeks. So we'll come back and we'll revisit this and we'll set this up next once we get the site set up. Convert. This is all about looking at the conversion points in the site. So looking at your homepage, your navigation, which is huge for you guys because you guys have so many freaking products. People are going to get confused finding your stuff. So we got to look at your navigation and we got to set this up correctly. Looking at your product pages, right? There's literally a formula for how to sell a product page. And this goes back to consumer psychology, where people first make a decision emotionally, and then they make a logical decision. So for example, you're walking down the street and you see I'll take a super stereotypical female purchase that my wife would make. She's like a handbag in a shopping mall, right? She sees a bag in a window. She's like, oh my God, I need this thing. I want this thing. It's almost like a primal feeling where you're like, I want it, right? It's emotional. You just made an emotional decision in your mind that you want to buy this. And then you go through a series of logical steps. We're like, well, how much does it cost? Do I really need it? I already have a bag that kind of looks like this. When am I going to use it, right? And you go through these logical questions that talk yourself into or out of buying this thing. So in the world of e-commerce, the goal is to A, hook them emotionally, and then B, make sure you're addressing those logical questions, but doing so in a way that talks them into versus talking themselves out of buying it. And so there's a formula for how to do this, and we'll talk about this on product pages. And for you guys, for what you do, you have a really strong emotional pull, right? This is a passionate industry. This is something that probably some of these people feel is like a calling that they want to do. It's maybe they're transitioning from other industries to this industry. So there's an emotional pull here of getting somebody connected to what you do and how you help them make their dreams come true in this industry. And then you hook them emotionally on it, and then you need to answer all the questions they're going to have about buying your product and answer them in a way that talks them into it. So we'll do that on your product pages. And then there's some cart and checkout stuff that's really just tactics that kind of helps reduce abandoned cart rates and all that. We'll set that up for you too. And then after that, we'll talk about retention, upsells, if there's an opportunity for your product to bundle things together or do add-ons, post-purchase segmentation, so the emails that fire after somebody buys a product. So if somebody's like in one of your early buckets and they buy something, can we put them in an email segmentation and then fire one of these MailChimp automations that teaches them about what the next stage is and then upsells them on the next stage? That way you can greatly increase this repeat purchase rate you guys have and kind of keep moving them up this sort of step ladder approach. We'll do that at the very end and get those set up. So this is, if you look at e-commerce, this is all that matters. This is the game right here. And you'll spend, the rest of your time at this company on the e-commerce side, essentially optimizing all of these pieces to increase sales, including driving more traffic into the front of it. So we've got clients that do, $250,000 a year that follow this. We have clients that do 8 figures a year that follow this process. So it's the same for everybody. It's just depending upon the stage, how aggressive you are at each one of these different pieces. Does that all make sense? I know that's a lot of stuff, but
yeah, totally.
It's a detailed intro, but okay. So what I want to do is let's go back. Let's actually go to your site. Let's talk about it. In fact, yeah, that's fine. We'll just stick here for a minute. And we talked about this a little bit last week, and we talked about sort of the different types of users that you guys have, right? So you've got these essentially sort of 4 buckets, right? And what is it? Somebody who needs to write something new, that needs to write a portfolio, needs to learn how to pitch, or needs to actually go pitch, right? Those are like the 4 general buckets. Okay. So I would essentially call this like we call them avatars, which is, think of it like a persona, like a customer persona. Have you guys ever gone out yet and actually kind of written out who these individuals are that are your target customers? Have you said like, this is Jill. Jill is Jill works in a marketing firm, but she wants to be a screenwriter, right? And she's working on her first sort of, screenplay. And so have you ever mapped out who these individual people are and kind of written a persona for each of them? No. Would that be pretty easy to do? Do you guys feel like you have a grasp on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason why I bring it up is, and I highly recommend doing it. And I actually have a worksheet I can give you guys to do it. And we call them, internally, we call them avatars. Just because we like to put a face to the name and it's sort of a digital term. So we say avatar instead of persona, but it's the same thing. And what we find to be really helpful is that when you start doing things like email marketing and writing emails to these folks, you can actually pick out these individual avatars as opposed to saying, okay, I'm going to write an email that goes to all of our audience. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to write an email that goes to Jill, because Jill actually doesn't care at all about pitching right now, because Jill is actually working at a marketing firm and she's just trying to get her first screenplay written, right? So you can speak to her specifically versus Tim, and Tim might already have his pitch pulled together and he just needs to go pitch. And how you talk to Tim is going to be completely different than how you talk to Jill, right? So having those avatars in place makes it a lot easier when you sit down to start writing copy or creating emails or creating pop-ups or anything to say, okay, who are we talking to today? Are we talking to Tim or are we talking to Jill? And we find that to be really effective for any sort of marketing. Same thing for ads. When you go out and do ads eventually, you're going to have to start segmenting who you send ads to, and being able to segment by your different target avatars becomes really important. So what I would recommend is, and I can send this to you, is I'll send you our worksheet for it. And I would sit down with the team and maybe just for an hour, one of these days over the next week, say, let's map out and let's write some personas for who are the 4 people that fit into these 4 buckets of products that we have. Because I think it'll be really insightful. Then the next piece of this is figuring out for you guys, what is it that you do that makes you unique? So do you guys have competition? Or are you guys the only ones that do this?
We sort of have competition. We're kind of the only ones who do exactly what we do, but there are other companies that do aspects of what we do.
Okay. What does that mean? Can you explain that to me? Like, what do you mean? Like, what else? What do they do that you?
So there are other companies that have like online pitch sessions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one where we probably have the most competition. And then there are also other sites that have classes. However, for the most part, their classes are taught by professional teachers, whereas our classes are taught by working industry professionals. So that's what's kind of unique about our programs, is that everything that we do is taught by working industry professionals, not by consultants or professional teachers.
Okay. And Dorian, did you used to do this? What's your background? How did you start this company?
Me and Joey started. Joey had a company before this that was acquired by another company that kind of like ruined it, and it did similar to things to what we do, and they still kind of do similar things to what we do, but on a much lower scale. And like they kind of pushed Joey out, which was stupid because he was the whole glue of what was keeping that together. And then it enabled us to start Roadmap. But I was coming from the producing side. I was working for a producer. Like I was an exec that was teaching with them and whatnot. And I've just known Joey forever. And when that happened, we decided to start something new. And like everybody says, we need more Joeys in the world, but they need to come paired with a Dorian. Otherwise the Joey gets taken advantage of. So
I love it. You're the muscle.
Yeah. And it makes me mad when people take advantage of him because he's such a kind, sweet, little, gentle soul. Right, Joey? Yeah, suck a dick. That's what he said.
That's awesome. Okay. So another exercise that I think you guys should do, and this is because we need to know how and where to communicate this on the site, is to do your avatars. Map out these avatars, figure out who you're talking to, right? Specifically by name. Second is we want to map out your unique selling propositions. So what is it that you do that's different than what your competition does? And is the same reason why your current customers are buying from you, right? So like why this $1 million in revenue you did, why did all these people buy from you versus somebody else? Was it because it's something you do that's super unique, or do you ever or was it a partnership, or was it because you guys were just the best at this specific thing and they bought you because of it?
Honestly, it's because Joey's been sort of in this space for years, and he's very well known in the screenwriting community, and people just trust him.
Okay.
And so and then it was word of mouth really on top of that, is the people that already trusted us. But ultimately it's like, I think that some people don't realize what the difference is between us, because they'll be like, well, I can get coverage at blah, blah, blah site for $75 and it'll be turned around in 3 days and have more pages of notes than you guys. And I'm like, okay, but who did the coverage? And they don't know because it's blind coverage. And I'm like, well, that's the difference. With us, you know what exec did your coverage from what company. So that's the difference. Whereas the coverage they got for $75 and was turned around in 3 days and had more notes is just done by somebody, just nobody. Just
got it. Okay. All right.
So that's the difference is with us, nothing is blind. You know exactly who is evaluating your material or your pitch every single time. It's always exactly that working industry professional.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we want to go through this process. I'm going to send you guys another worksheet, and we're going to go over this right now so you guys know what to do. But and then we're going to talk about it next week. What we want to do is we want to map out two things. One are what are your we call these primary selling propositions or primary unique selling propositions. And they're essentially what are the things that are brand defining for you? What are the things that you do that your customer cares about, that make you unique, that define your brand, right? So you guys are doing great right now off of kind of word of mouth and Joey and sort of industry knowledge. But as you scale, you're going to be starting to enter cold markets and cold customer bases that don't know you. There's not a referral, right? It's cold traffic. And they need to know why they should buy from you versus buying from somebody else that might be cheaper, right? So identifying what your core branding elements are and what are your unique propositions, selling propositions that are core to your brand is going to be really important. Because we want to iterate them, communicate them immediately when they come to the site. So this is going to really define what gets communicated on the homepage. And the second piece is we want to be utilizing that content throughout the rest of your other communications, like your emails, right? So if somebody signs up for one of your free products, free webinars, or whatever it may be, that first few emails they get, we want to make sure they understand, if they nothing else, they understand the three things that make you unique versus the competition, so that there's no question. So that they're not price shopping. Because what you don't want is somebody going, well, they're only doing it for $17. It's like, you're missing the point, right? This isn't a price choice, right? This is a value choice. So make sure you're winning the value argument, not the price argument. So what I'm going to do also is I'll send you this worksheet. And what I'm going to do right now, though, is I want to kind of give you an example here. Fortunately, these guys might have to give you a different example because they're running a sale, so their site's all messed up. But well, we can still use them as an example. I want to kind of talk about what I mean by unique selling propositions. That way, when you guys see this worksheet, you know how to do it. I'll show you these guys too. Okay, we'll go over both of these. So here's an example. This is one of our clients, Taft. These guys are blowing up. They went from 0 to $1 million in a year, and then now they're doing multiple 7 figures, and they'll probably do 8 figures either this year or next year. Blowing up. They make men's dress shoes. Like, that's it, right? They're cool, well-designed, but it's men's dress shoes. For them, though, their unique selling proposition, and ultimately what we want to come to is what we call a message to market. Like, what's the one thing in one sentence and a couple supporting lines that help communicate who you are? They've got a sale going right now, so this is not what it typically is. Typically, this says the most unique shoes in the world. And what these guys do, and their whole premise is that they're not the first pair of shoes that you buy, but they're the second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth pair of shoes that you buy. If you're just looking for a pair of dress shoes to wear to your job at a CPA firm, like, you don't shop at Taft. But if you're looking for a pair of shoes that's going to stand out on Friday night, or something you can wear to the office on, that matches your outfit, that people are going to ask, where'd you get those shoes? You buy a pair of Tafts. They're very unique designed shoes. And you kind of see that if you kind of scroll through and look at the product. For them, there's a few things that define their brand. Number one is the uniqueness of the style. The second is they are handmade in Europe. So they're actually produced in this old manufacturing facility in Spain that used to produce dress shoes. And they're sold direct to consumer without any retail markups. So they cut out all the retail markups so they can sell a $500 pair of shoes for $250. So for them, you ask what their primary unique selling propositions are, they would say, we design incredibly unique dress shoes. They're handmade in Europe, and we sell them direct to you without retail markup. Those are their unique selling propositions. And so you'll find that that's reiterated throughout the site, literally everywhere. It's in their emails. It's everywhere. They don't let you forget it. It's part of their core story. So for you guys, the question is, what is your core story? So what I want you guys to do is sort of sit down and just bullet point out, what are the 5 to 10 things that make you guys unique, that are the reasons why your customers buy? And then what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll formulate this into the right message to market and talk about where to put it on the site. But that's going to be step 1. Step 2 is going to be what we call secondary selling propositions. And these are, what are the things that you guys do that are important for your customers to understand, but aren't necessarily brand defining? So an example at Taft would be free US shipping and returns. Really important, everybody knows this, because it's essentially like free try on at home. You can order a pair of shoes, don't fit, send them back. You don't like them, send them back. Reduces all the risk, which we'll talk about later. But it's not brand defining, right? Lots of people do free shipping, free returns, but it's important for them to know. So for you guys, what do you guys offer or do that's not necessarily brand defining, but really important for your customer? Maybe because it reduces risk. Maybe it's because it bolsters the trust. Maybe like for you guys, it's like a guarantee. Maybe you offer money back guarantees if it doesn't work, if somebody doesn't get a pitch. I don't know. You just have to tell me and we'll figure it out. But what do you guys do that is secondary, meaning it's not brand defining, but really important for people to understand? Taft, really the best example is just the free shipping piece. Another example, heat-free hair. These guys also blowing up, direct-to-consumer site on Shopify. They produce these virgin hair extensions for African-American women. Their messaging is super clear, right? They've got a bit of a tagline. It's you just more beautiful. And then super clear, 100% virgin hair extensions exclusively for natural textures. Like you could not be more clear about this value proposition to their market. Then they've got some secondary selling propositions that talk about quality, the fact that they're just like you, all about service and innovation, things that aren't necessarily really brand defining, but stuff that they want to make sure their customers really understand about them, because it's going to help influence the purchase decision. So just a couple examples. So the reason why we want to do this exercise is because this is going to define, if you look at your site right now, right? Educational screenwriting services, because your stories deserve to be told. I understand what you do, but I don't necessarily understand why I should buy from you, if that makes sense. So what we want to change in this is, I think that's a fine tagline because it's very clear and that's fantastic, but we want to support that with some, and I love the fact that this is who you work with. This is great social proof, but I still want to support this with something that makes you unique versus your competition so that you don't have to have that price conversation. The other benefit of this is it's something that we call future pacing your customer. If you can get them to understand your value really early on before they even see your price, then it's going to make them much more open to a higher price point product. So if you guys are higher priced than your competition and they come into that knowing that your quality is better, they're going to expect a higher price versus them just price shopping you. So future pacing by explaining your value and your benefits and your differentiation really early on in this purchase funnel process can make the difference between somebody getting to your price point and going, oh, well, that's not that bad. Like, this is what these guys do. Oh, that's not that bad. Versus them going, oh man, these guys are crazy expensive, right? Like if I just said these brown shoes are $250, you'd be like, oh, that's an expensive pair of shoes. If I was like,
sure,
look at these shoes. They're handmade in Europe, handmade in Spain. They sell direct to you. So they actually cut out all the retail markups. So that $500 pair of shoes you typically buy at Nordstrom, same quality, but for $250, you go, oh, damn, that's a good price, right? So future pacing is super important to get somebody to not price shop you and to buy you for value. So that being said, avatar worksheet, unique selling proposition worksheets, I'll send them to you. Highly recommend we do that over the course of next week so that as we're talking about this homepage, which we're going to do right now, we can start to fill in the pieces with the correct information. Does that all make sense and connect?
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. Okay. And stop me at any point too. If I'm like talking about stuff that you guys already know about, we can go faster. But this core framework stuff is, I mean, this makes the difference. This is night and day stuff. We had a client last summer who was in the pharmaceutical nutritional supplement space. They literally went from a 0.5, like a 0.5 percentage point conversion, to a 3.5% conversion rate just by updating their core value propositions and their unique selling propositions. That's all they did. And people were like, oh, that's why I should buy from you. And then they started buying from them. So it's really powerful stuff. Okay. Let me pull up. So let's talk, actually, those two worksheets, the first two things to do. And so now let's talk about sort of the technical stuff of actually moving you guys over to Shopify. And let me show you a couple things I've pulled together for you. I actually have some notes on this somewhere here. Here we go. I'll send you guys this theme also. This is the theme I'm going to suggest that you guys move over to. And there's literally a million theme options, so we don't have to use this one, but it's a good one. So I recommend we at least look at it to start with. It gives you a ton of editing options, so we can totally restructure and move things around on home pages. If we pair this with another editing tool called Shogun, you guys could literally build all these different landing pages, kind of like you're doing in Wix. So we'll give you a lot of flexibility, but it's just a really high-performing theme. And it's already set up structurally for a lot of the pieces that you guys need to use. So I'll kind of let you guys take a look at it so you can get a feel, but this is going to be my primary recommendation. And then other piece here too is, where are your, here we go. So what I've done also here is started to kind of map out for you guys the components and the hierarchy of the homepage. So, and again, these are just sort of rough iPad sketches that we'll again sort of use as a roadmap for how to structure this new theme. And once we have the unique selling propositions pulled together, we'll start to fill in all this information. But what I want to do is kind of walk you through how I think you should set up the homepage versus how it's set up now, given the story that you want to tell. So, and there's about I've got sort of three mock-ups of this that we can go over that sort of outline the different components of the homepage. So the first big piece here is we'll keep similar to how you have now, but we're going to want to talk about how you have your navigation with the elements that are in there, but we'll keep your navigation up top. I want to add a cart to it because ultimately people are buying products. So let's actually add a cart if people want to browse around. You're gonna have your banner with your main tagline and a couple calls to action here, kind of like you do now. Nothing wrong with that. But what I want to do below that, I want to support it with some sort of unique selling proposition content. So whatever we determine your kind of 2 to 3 things are that define your brand against the competition, kind of like we do with Taft, I want to set those up here in the theme. So that's why it's important for us to do this USP worksheet. And I'll show you guys how to do this.
I'm not, are you still looking at the out of the sandbox page?
Oh no, you guys not seeing this?
Yeah, I'm not seeing, I'm still seeing just the out of the sandbox page.
Oh yeah, hold on, let me open this up. I think it's not sharing that part of the screen.
Yeah, I think you're just sharing your browser as opposed to your.
Yep, hold on. Let me fix that here.
Cause I'm like, yeah,
I was wondering why you were staring at me.
Yeah, I was like, why does he keep hovering over this dead space here? I'm like, huh? I don't get it.
Yeah, that's my bad. Hold on.
And now he's about to buy something with PayPal. There we go. All right,
there we go. All right, can you guys see this now?
Yes.
This sort of, it looks like an iPad sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let me move this so I can see it. So I've got a few different of these to show you, but what this is it's just rough, but it's supposed to show you here the hierarchy of what sections we want to include in the homepage, so that when we go to set this up in the theme, and all these sections are actually pieces that are kind of already in the theme, and we can move them around and edit them. It's very easy to do on the homepage. So this will give us a roadmap, again, point earned for how to do it. We're gonna do navigation up top, banner with some tagline text and 2 buttons that are call to action, just like you have now. Nothing wrong there. But then directly below that here, kind of like what we did with Taft, I want to include some pieces of iconography and some information that explains your unique selling propositions. Like, what do you guys do? Like, what are the things that you have to offer that differentiates you from the competition? That's what we're going to put right here. So it's top of the page. Nobody can miss it. Instantaneous when they land on the site. It's like, this is roadmap writers. This is why I should care about them, right? Then, since you guys offer so many freaking products for 4 different, very unique avatars, we want to make sure, and we talked about this last week, that we give them really easy access points into your products. So, I just called this the 4 buckets, but these are the, they want to write something new. They want to write their portfolio. They want to learn how to pitch. They want to go pitch. And we can create collections around each of these so that somebody can self-select their way in. Ultimately, if you guys end up wanting to do one of those wizards, we could even have sort of an entry point for that here too. But at bare minimum, let's give them a self-selection that helps them enter in. And we could also have a drop down up top, and we'll talk about this when we get to collections, that says something like start here, right? And it's a drop down that says, that identifies the avatar, write something new, pitch, whatever it may be. So we're going to add to this a really easy starting point. So when you guys are driving cold traffic to your homepage, they can self-select their way into the collections or the products that make the most sense for them. What we're going to want to do as we go through this homepage, this is going to be a long form page. We want to intermix a couple different things. So in this top half, like we just showed right now, it's all about who you are, what you do, getting them to understand the brand, and then getting them immediately into the right products, right? So that's why we focused on this at the top half. The bottom half, and there's a couple more sketches I'll show you. We want to start layering in social proof. And for you guys, it's, these are the partners we work with. Whatever said NBC on your current site, like that piece, really powerful. We want to make sure we still include that here. Then let me pull up the rest of these.
Echo, stop. Echo, stop. Sorry, my fucking Echo I had a timer. Sorry.
Oh, that's a timer. I was like, what is it doing? Is it?
She's doing her own thing.
We don't use ours anymore. I think I literally turned our Sonos volume up and down with it, and that's it. That's like all we do anymore.
I have an Alexa and an Echo. The Echo doesn't work very well. Alexa, she's great, but anyway, sorry.
Anyway, okay. So after that social proof, we want to talk a little more about who you guys are. So you guys have some of these sections already. So this is good. We're just kind of repositioning stuff. This could be for you guys too. If Joey is a known entity in the space, framing your who we are kind of around him might make a lot of sense, because it's not apparent on the homepage, right? Dorian, when you explained it to me, kind of why people buy from you guys have this asset. You've got this inside asset that is recognized in the space, but you don't play it up in your marketing.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to be the face of the company. He kind of wants Jorge to start taking that over, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, but that's it's a long-term thing, because Joey very much is, when people, like, we just launched this new thing and people keep saying, so excited, Joey and Dorian, like, they're the household names, but that will obviously shift as we continue to scroll. But yeah, it all comes down to I think one of the unique selling points, which is just, it's like, we're hands-on, we're personable. And I think that's why people love Roadmap, is for that reason.
And there's no reason you can't start with, Joey and Dorian kind of being the faces, right? And as you continue to scale and the brand builds a little more traction and more recognition, you can sort of phase them out. And because people have experiences with the brand, you've got a ton of testimonials, like, you can kind of build upon that. But if you have the asset and he's there, might as well leverage it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's an internal decision for you guys. But regardless, you guys have assets. We need to provide transparency into why you guys. And the people, it sounds like, is a big piece of this. Whether it's, it doesn't matter who it is, that personal interaction piece from professionals is really key. So we want to make sure that gets communicated. Next, I want to introduce more product, because what you don't have on the site, on the homepage, are access points into your product. You kind of force people to go up to the navigation, which is confusing. We want to give people access points into different product. Maybe it's their top products. Maybe it's sort of like that intro level type products. We'll figure out what goes here, but it needs to be access to kind of those tripwires, right? Like when I say tripwires, meaning like, better way to put it, I use this in another call, is like, it's like the gateway drug. Like, what's the gateway drug product for you guys? For each of your 4 avatars, what do you want them opting into and buying first? Because if you buy this first, they're going to buy this, and then this, and then this, right? So what can we get them to buy into and put those here as your top products? The other thing is, I know you guys offer free products. So we can offer free products. Also, what can we do to get them to opt in? The goal with the homepage is just getting them to say yes to something. All we care about is getting them to opt in, to say yes to something, and then say yes to something else again. So we want to give them multiple opportunities to do that. Then finally, this is the final screen here. Testimonials, partners, footer. So we're going to layer in some more social proof of testimonials, more social proof of partners, and then footer. So it's pretty straightforward, but this is the hierarchy that makes the most sense for somebody showing up for the very first time, because we're talking about cold traffic, and understanding who you are, what you do, unique selling propositions, easy next steps to get into one of these 4 buckets so they can self-select, more social proof, more product, more social proof. So that's the layering.
I dig it. I dig it a lot.
Cool. Can you guys still hear me, by the way? I think I'm losing one of my earbuds.
Yeah,
I can
hear
hear
you perfectly.
Okay. Tell me if you can. Okay. So that's what we're going to want to do. That's the homepage roadmap. This is the theme I think you guys should start off with. But before we actually start layering all this in, I really think we need to work through the avatar and USP worksheet. That way we know exactly what to put into each of these buckets. Mainly the first one right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be my recommendation over the next week is let's get those worksheets done. I'm gonna send you the theme, and you guys can start poking around and kind of taking a look at it, seeing what you think. If you want to go forward with it, let's go ahead and get it, and let's install it into Shopify, into your theme editor. Don't turn it on, but let's put it in your theme editor. And that way, as we work, once we talk about the worksheets and everything next week, we can actually start creating the theme for the homepage, and then also start looking at your navigation.
There's a 20% discount on that theme right now. For me, not for you.
Not for me. Why not?
For me, so.
Yeah, because you're probably because I'm probably on this. I'm probably on this site.
Right, exactly. Oh no, look, no, there it is. You got it. Top.
Oh, it's up top.
Unite 20.
Oh. Yeah, Shopify's got their big Unite event this week that I decided not to go to, but so that's probably why they're doing it. But that'll be done this week, so I bet that's gone this week.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we'll buy the theme like this before that discount goes.
Yeah, but go play. Yeah, play with it. Play with it today, tomorrow. See what you think, because you can sort of view the demos and stuff like that. But yeah, if it looks good to you guys, I say we get it. Let's install it. That way we can literally build this as we go.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, if we're, I think we're all really excited to kind of get the ball really rolling now and just sort of like getting some momentum behind this. And I know, part of that is us, completing these worksheets and all that, but I think, yeah, the sooner that we can really get all these things rolling, the better. So let's kick this shit into gear.
Yeah, man, that's the goal here. So it's important to do it in order, right? Because you don't want to just do it and not have the right content in there, because none of this works if you don't have the right content in there. So that's why the worksheets are important. But yeah, let's move this at pace, as fast as you guys want to go. So I'll send you all this stuff right now, and I'd love to see you guys work through those worksheets and send them back. I can take a look at them. And if you guys are ready, we can start implementing the stuff, between now and the next call too.
Cool.
So you guys tell me.
Yeah, I mean, we're ready to move full steam ahead. Like I said, as soon as I figured out that automation thing, I did 55 fucking webinar recording emails. Like, I'm ready to go.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm also just thinking about this, our contest, which we just launched. And, these are all things that I know will just benefit that too and help that. So, so I'm ready.
Okay. Well, let me get this stuff over to you guys. And that way you guys can get started on it.
Cool.
And then just send it back to me. Once you've got those, send it back to me. I'll take a look at them. And because what we're going to do with that information is say, okay, this is great. Now let's distill it down into a couple things that we can actually put into the site. And that's what we do is we're very good at taking these and distilling them into what we call a message to market and going, okay, these are the 10 things you do. These are the ones that are important. This is how we display on the site. This is what you should say. This is what's going to resonate. This is what it should look like. Here's the theme. Here's the structure. Now let's just plug it in.
Yeah, I think that's something that we definitely lack because we're just kind of like, here's some ideas. Let's throw all these things up there. And like I said, usually we only make sales from mailers. Like it's hardly ever that somebody stumbles upon our site and like buys something. It's usually they end up on our mailing list and they buy it because they got a mailer about it.
Yep, exactly. So you want to turn the site into an asset that actually sells what you guys do.
Yeah.
But that starts with understanding what your unique elements are. So cool. All right, let me send this stuff over to you guys. And as you're working through, if you have questions, let me know and send it over to me. And let's do the call. Let's go ahead and schedule the call at the same time next week. But we can also do it earlier. We can do it on Tuesday or something too if you guys are ready to rock. So you just let me know once you guys get started on this stuff, and we can move it up.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how fast we get the stuff from you to do the worksheets because like Jorge's off on Saturdays and Sundays. Like I work on weekends, but he doesn't. So it's like the sooner we get that, if we can get it done before Friday or something, then we can talk about doing the call earlier.
I'll send it to you right now. I'll put in an email right now and send all this stuff over to you guys.
Cool.
Cool beans. All right, guys. Sounds like a plan. Well, let me shoot you the email and then we'll take it from there.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alan.
Sounds good, guys. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.